On an annual basis, the US loses an equivalent of around 1.2 million working days due to insufficient sleep. This is followed by Japan, which loses on average 600,000 working days per year. With that in mind, how important is sleep health to your workplace? Hi and welcome to the Snooze Strategists. This is the show where we use the science of sleep to help you manage your night so you can master your day, ultimately to supercharge your productivity. I'm Alex Young, and we have here Ashen Bithana. How are you, Ashen?
I'm a bit distracted. There's a lot of noise outside, but I'm sure I can get through the day. How are you?
I'm good. No construction work over my side today so far.
That's good.
It's all right. Just need to endure. So what are your thoughts on today's topic?
I think it's relevant and it's highly important. As a country, Australia has done pretty much next to nothing in this area. So I really hope we can generate a discussion around that and the importance and significance of this issue. More than that, why organizations should take some actions in that space.
Yeah, definitely. I'll just share my screen just to remind us that the question at hand. So what role should your workplace play when it comes to sleep health? And I believe there are, compared to 10 years ago, at least here, there's much more discussion around mental health programs as part of a broader health and well-being. Back in the day, they'll sort of support you from a gym and, perspective. People encourage you to run and exercise, and I think that's slowly expanding to mental health support, and hopefully as part of that there'll be more when it comes to sleep health. So for this point of discussion, I found this amazing report, Workplace Interventions to Promote Sleep Health and an Alert Healthy Workforce. So a couple of years old. But this is with a focus on the US. So, we've got a lot of listeners who are from the US. So it'd be great to sort of dig into that a little bit more. Is there any sort of context that you can provide around the report that I've sort of drawn this from?
So this was a meta-analysis published in JCSM, Journal of Clinical Sleep Medicine, which is a highly respected journal publication. It's interesting. So they looked into a lot of different studies. Most of them weren't randomized control ones, but they just looked into any interventions that organizations have done in the past. They went through, if my memory is right, about 47 studies, and then they kind of dissected the results from that. So it's quite fascinating, some of the findings. It is a smaller portion, so there aren't studies looking into like 1,000 participants or anything like that. But there's a clear trend, I think, at the end.
Okay. And so they've on the screen here, I've got a little bit of a definition that I've taken out of the report, which is sleep deficiency resulting from short sleep duration, poorly timed sleep, and or poor sleep quality is common. And so they go on to talk about how there's an estimate from the Institute of Medicine that 50 to 70 million American adults have a chronic sleep disorder that hinders daily function and contributes to poor health. But they also, similar to the Australian Parliamentary Inquiry, also point to just simply inadequate sleep. So
correct.
Almost two categories here: those that may have a chronic sleep disorder, and then there's everyone else like us that may get inadequate sleep through, our own habits or work. And so they've got to kind of call out that 65.5% of adults indicate that they sleep for 7 hours or more, which is great. And then for everyone else, they don't get enough sleep. So they also call out that if you sleep less than 7 hours, then that may be associated with increased risk for cardiovascular disease, obesity, diabetes, hypertension, depression, and all-cause mortality.
Yeah, absolutely. And there are a lot of publications done in that space highlighting the importance. And also, we have talked here a couple of times, the economic cost of these issues. Yeah, let's keep the conversation going on that.
So leading on from that, the impact, just a good reminder of the impact of sleep deficiency, because you can we on a day-to-day basis feel like we can manage, and we top it up with a bit of coffee here, some energy drinks. We've talked about that a lot. That may or may not be sustainable, but there's also side effects. And I know from your background in sleep science, you've worked with individuals and supporting organizations. Do you want to share a little bit here? For those that can't see the screen, just this article, I've just got a couple of sentences there talking about the impact and how it manifests in declines in cognitive function, including attention, reaction time, working and long-term memory, visuomotor performance, decision-making skills, verbal function, response inhibition, and motivation. Can you sort of draw upon what these impacts mean, but also where they may be important from a workplace perspective?
Yeah, I have seen quite a lot these issues among shift workers and also the workers who have to do longer hours. So, for an example, a truck driver who works from goes between different states, long hours. Usually, they don't have enough sleep, so their option to make sure that they can keep going is to opt for stimulants. Some of that is legal, some of that is illegal. Good example of that is or that culture. I think 3 or 4 years ago there was a really bad car accident or truck accident in Eastern Freeway, which ended up killing 4 police officers, innocent police officers who weren't doing anything else, just because of this truck driver's behavior. That's just one of those instances. There are so many due to various reasons they make incorrect decisions. I think the culture in that industry is quite different. That's just one area, I guess. Healthcare is another one. People have to do shift work, long hours. A lot of healthcare workers struggle with that fatigue coming with it. We see quite a lot of them have immune issues, so get sick quite often because don't get enough sleep or enough rest during the nights. This is quite important. I like the fact that it emphasizes the cognitive function. If you work in stressful area, whether it's finance or investing, it's quite critical for you to perform in highest cognitive ability. And if you have to make a quick decision, whether it's day trading or making finalizing a deal, imagine if you just had 4 hours of sleep and you can't, you're tired and you have to make that call. That may not be the best call you have ever made. So I like the fact it emphasized that in the beginning.
And that's good, and it's interesting there in the study that calling it healthcare and night shift workers, since you have been that shift worker in healthcare yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely not one of my favorite times of professional life. Yeah.
Cool. So on this next slide, I've got there's a great table where 4 columns. It's got the context within the report or the study that was taken. There were certain workplace contexts like shift work, irregular work hours, as well as non-shift workers. And this was across a number of different occupations: law enforcement, security, emergency response, healthcare, hospitality, customer service, manufacturing, public transport, and truck drivers. So no computer programmers there, I guess, or startup people, I guess. And then quite interestingly, types of interventions. So correct me if I'm wrong, but these are examples of interventions that were provisioned by organizations in support of these individuals. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
So sleep hygiene education, fatigue countermeasure programs, self-management techniques, strategic naps, that's quite cool, workplace weight loss and reduction of cardiovascular risk, factors program, and a few other things, relaxation techniques, workplace flexibility. So there's a whole range of things there in support. and maybe you can sort of talk us through the sleep outcomes that were identified through the literature and the research.
Yeah, so there were various interventions, as Alex just went through. Some are quite short and quick. So some are 1 hour sleep hygiene program for staff over lunch, just that one instance. There were some done over extended period of time. There was one in Taiwan that they talk about 5-week sleep education program. So some one thing I like to emphasize, they found the individualized treatment plans or the education plans delivered better results. So there was one instance there for day workers, they did 30-minute lecture and 30-minute lecture plus a 30-minute individualized session. In there, they found better outcomes. So people slept longer and reported better quality of sleep, as opposed to just group lectures. So that's a good example for organizations that look to provide some sort of education program or a service to their staff. Maybe it's a good idea to just have that individualized component rather than just bring some sort of stock program from somewhere and deliver it and then forget about it. There were various different programs. It's very hard to compare because they're coming from multiple different studies, so they haven't really looked at which intervention works better. However, they did find shorter ones, particularly for shift workers, is kind of one-off education program don't really stick after 30 days, as opposed to multi-week programs where there's continuous education and support for these groups. They tend to deliver better outcomes. I was quite fascinated to see the strategic naps there. There were definitely improvement among nurses and also airline staff when they asked them to have quick or strategic naps. I guess at particular intervals, they reported not falling asleep while they're driving back home, and also during the shifts they reported saying they don't have any drowsiness or sleepiness, so they had better ability to make decisions during that time.
It's really good. Yeah, I think we've talked about naps before, and that sort of planted a seed in my head, and it's interesting. More recently, I haven't so back in February, March, April, when we started off this YouTube show, I was probably at the level of quality of sleep where the naps were actually quite helpful. And now, as I've improved my own sort of consistency, going to bed earlier and waking up earlier and doing exercise and everything else, it's actually minimized my own personal need for those strategic naps. But once again, I'm probably not in that same stressful conditions that these occupations are in, actually.
Yeah, that's true.
So shifting to the solution side, so digging a little bit more into those strategies for employers, and this is kind of quite good if you're someone running a business or in that sort of people and culture kind of positioning within an organization who are curious about what can you do, what's your role, but also what can you do as an individual or as a team that wants to improve the productivity and safety for your workforce. There are a list of 9 options around the environment that you can provide, as well as a couple of recommendations around the hours that people are working within. Do you want to sort of talk us through what those are, Ashan?
Yeah. So some of the things I think they can do quite easily is set limits on number of hours work, 24-hour periods, which is increasingly rare nowadays. I think there's people work extended hours. There's so much pressure and stress. The work culture is not great, isn't it? And then establish a minimum of 10 to 11 consecutive hours off from work. that's quite important for people to relax and wind down and not think about work and do other tasks. So outside work, their life becomes, I guess, quite stable and happy. I think another part I found quite interesting in these studies is environmental support, which rarely people talk about. We did mention the education programs and strategic naps and things, but one thing I'd like to emphasize is the other environmental factors such as lighting. This is such an easy thing to do now because technology has developed so much. There was a study looking into that kind of bright blue color light early in the morning, and then brightness reduced and the warmer colors comes out in the second half of the day. What that does in the morning with that bright light, staff would be a bit more alert and they could focus. And I think after 6 hours they changed the color to more warmer reddish color, rather, so get rid of the blue tint, which is in line with that kind of circadian rhythm issues. So those kind of things, it's quite easy for companies to do nowadays. There are different types of lights and systems available at the moment. Key to success, I believe, is combining this environmental support. So you can have a sleep education program to increase the awareness, fatigue risk management systems. I know in mining industry there are risk management systems in place around fatigue. A lot of them just scan your face, or some have to actually wear hats or headbands around their head that monitor their brain waves. And also facilitate workers or link workers with healthcare providers to address their sleep issues, because we have to take care of our people. I think you've raised a great point. Nowadays, staff have become just a number in a workplace. So it's good that this study emphasized that you need to actually take care of the workers by facilitating their connection with the healthcare providers with these workers to address their sleep health issues. And incentivizing the use of public transportation for shift workers, because if you drive after shift work, there's increased risk because you drive for longer. There's a chance that you might doze off, and then that can cause an accident. So if we incentivize the shift workers to use public transportation, there's a reduced risk in the injury or some serious harm to themselves or others. And also actively promoting working from home where possible, so people can actually sleep in, which is quite fascinating. This was published in, I think, 2019, before working from home or teleworking in here, they say is rare, I guess. So quite forward thinking. So I hope when companies don't really, when they now try to enforce set days, come to office, that they would be more considerate on the health impact of that.
Yeah, I like the lighting one in particular. Our office is not bad, but I think when you visit some traditional corporate offices, they can be they're heavy on the fluorescent lighting.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I mean, it hurts your eyes after a while. But there's not much variance in the office space as well. It's quite, it's consistent, but I think at least in our office, we've got some areas where there's lounges and you got some nice plants, and then you'll have some down lighting, and it provides some contrast if you do want to rest your eyes for a little while as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Although, after we did that episode where we talked about workplace naps, it makes me much more cognizant in our office about where could we take a nap. And I have seen an individual napping in some, there's some couches we've got which have got very high sort of kind of like privacy barriers, and the sort of way that they found a way to position themselves between two of them. If you were just at the right angle, you could see that they were kind of like lying down. But it's challenging to find the right space if you did want to just have a bit of a rest somewhere.
Yeah.
It's really hard to find that space with some privacy.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's probably one of the problems with modern open plan work
Yeah.
spaces, where they minimize the rooms or the chambers that people can have a nap or hide away from people, right?
Yeah. All right. So I'm just showing the conclusions. So that they say that these studies suggest employer-sponsored efforts can improve sleep and sleep-related outcomes. So, yay, employers, get on board with it. I don't know about yay, but come on, employers, get on board with it.
Yeah.
The existing evidence, although weak, suggests efforts by employers to encourage better sleep habits and general fitness result in self-reported improvements in sleep-related outcomes, and may be associated with reduced absenteeism and better overall quality of life. Candidate workplace strategies to promote sleep health are provided. So we already just went through some of those. So that's encouraging to hear. Just in terms of from what they've reviewed of other reports, there's general positive outcomes. So it'll be great to see more. And this was, yes, based in the US. So this was looking at cases around the US, but I'd love to see more from other parts of the world as well.
Yeah, it shows a positive trend that if we try to take care of them by providing better tools, it increases the staff well-being. So definitely good signs.
Yeah. Yep. So let's have a look at some examples of workplace sleep programs. You know, you've found a couple of these, some tangible examples of who's put what in place. We don't know how it's gone, but it's interesting to see what different companies are actually trying. And I think I'm guessing that there's a lot of trying of different things right now. We don't know exactly the perfect one. So you can just see on the screen here, we've got a little, there was a news article, Aetna, private health insurance in the US, pays employees up to $500 per year to sleep. So they say that the deal at Aetna is employees can prove the amount they sleep, such as with a Fitbit, and once they reach a minimum of 7 hours of sleep per night for 20 nights in a row, they earn $25 a night with a cap of $500 a year. What do you think of that?
That's amazing. I think it's a great way to gamify sleep as well. And also, it's a good financial incentive for staff to actively care about it. More than that, I think it's a feeling that you get that your employer kind of think about you, and they want you to have a good rest, and which is quite rare nowadays.
Absolutely, yeah. And I mean, they are a health insurer, so they are they understand the science behind it, and they will probably, having such a large workforce, recognize the importance of the productivity. This was a couple of years ago, 2016. I haven't been able to find anything more current, so I don't know if they're still running the program. There's a little quote here that from their CEO at the time. I don't know if he still is or not, Bertolini. Since investing in employee wellness, including sleep, so they've got a much broader, which is quite awesome, quite a broad health program, which sleep is part of. Worker productivity has risen 69 minutes per month.
And I quite like that other quote as well. They're saying,
yeah,
investing in our people, then that's going to show up in our revenue. It's if you do the right thing, if we help them to be more rested and take care of their health, they'll be more productive during the day. I think that's almost in line with what we are trying to promote in our Snooze Strategists as well, right?
Yeah. I love the concept. I'd love to learn more about how the employees feel about it as well. From looking at it from Australia, looking at the US and what we hear in the news in terms of economic challenges, and might it be perceived that you're asking me to do more as in, you control my day, now you want to control my night as well. You want to tell me how much sleep to get. So it's a good indicator. I think that the monetary incentive is great. What more would you want to ask for apart from give me less work and then I can sleep more? I don't know. Yeah. I'm curious to see how it's balanced out from a lifestyle perspective for these individuals as well. Another one we've got, you found this one, a company called Crazy is a wedding planning firm in Japan, and the CEO seems to be quite progressive in terms of the culture of the organization, or they introduced this quite a couple of years ago as well, paying its employees to sleep for at least 6 hours a day, 5 days a week, which makes sense in Japan given the challenge with, as we heard earlier, 600,000 hours lost annually when it comes to sleep deficiency. So what do they get? The employees who manage to do this are awarded points. So if you can sleep at least 6 hours a day, 5 days a week, you're given points, and you can use these points to buy food in the company canteen.
Yeah, I think it's similar to the previous one we discussed, but with a cap. I think it's about 500 or close to $500 per year cap, and you can use the sleep points to buy your lunch at work, basically, which is not a bad idea. Once again, however, that's that interesting point of, are they controlling my nighttime now? They do play a massive role in controlling my daytime hours. However, coming from a sleep medicine point of view, I do like the fact at least they are incentivizing people to sleep longer.
So I just correct myself. Sorry, I said 600,000 working hours. It's working days lost.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
On average in Japan. But yeah, as you were talking there, I was just thinking that you need this balance. So hopefully that this wasn't the only thing they changed, because it's kind of like, well, how can I sleep a certain amount if you've given me a certain amount of work that requires me to work longer than I've got time to actually sleep? So across all of these, I mean, the news articles hone in on certain things, but I hope that there's a balance between a number of things. We as the employer, we should give you a reasonable workload and allow you the opportunity to go home in a reasonable time, so you can actually, have a lifestyle and get sleep. If we're pushing you so hard that you don't get enough sleep, then that's counterproductive. The last one we got here is New Balance. So this one that you found. This article says New Balance, the Boston-based athletic shoe company, wanted to help its employees sleep better. So they rolled out an app called Days. So Days is a mobile app separate to the organization, but I guess it's an enterprise initiative. So this app offers personal recommendations for better sleep. If users say they watch TV in bed, the app might send a text at bedtime to turn it off. If it's taking users too long to fall asleep, the app might suggest they get out of bed temporarily and listen to music. And employees can use the app to scan noise and light intensity levels in the bedroom and chat online with a sleep coach.
Yes, interesting. So rather than incentivizing staff, in a way, New Balance has, what they have done is they have given a tool and encouraged them to use that tool to have a, better night's sleep. I do think this is a good way. So you need to educate, coach, and help people to have good sleep. So I do like this approach. But I mean, if our organization roll out $400 a year to sleep, I would definitely take that. I'm not turning it down.
Yeah, no, I definitely would as well, rather than the app, because I gather that, I mean, at least in our circles, a lot of our friends have got Apple Watches, and they're quite proactive, or Fitbits, and personally interested in tracking themselves. I think the gap may be the advice, or what do I do next, which is part of why we do things like this podcast. Yeah. But yeah, nothing beats a bit of extra cash to maintain the habit. But no, this is quite good. I mean, I think it's a good thing that they raise the visibility, and who knows how long they run this for. But it's a great way for the organization to get the insights and data to actually make more decisions on how much further they want to take this level of support. Cool. So that sort of covers a wonderful mix of the science and the research and what could be done, as well as here are a couple of examples. It'd be great to get more examples, but unfortunately, employee workplace sleep programs are not that easy to find, at least through our cursory Googling around. And possibly they're part of health and wellbeing programs, but I gather that this is still a new and emerging space.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we are, and not every country is aware of the developments in this area as well.
Cool. All right. So thanks for spending some time with us. This has been really good to share a little bit more and also provide some context. And hopefully that context gives you some ammo to go back to your own workplace and raise the question, how might we introduce some different programs or some activities or some consideration for sleep health? It takes a single voice to begin the conversation, so I really encourage each of you to consider that. Apart from that, thank you, and that's it from myself and Ashen, and make sure you like and subscribe or follow our podcast, and looking forward to chatting to you next time.